And so as we go ahead and get started, I want you to right now just think about your posture. Are you slouching? Are you slumping? What's the position of your neck relative to your spine? Is it in line with your spine? Is it protruded forward? It's really important to understand our posture and how it affects us physically, is ways that it could lead to most commonly back pain and neck pain. The also important thing to understand with our posture is that it's connected to the way that we communicate with others, as well as our energy and our confidence. And today we're going to focus on two areas of posture. There's going to be static posture as well as dynamic posture. Static being when we are not moving, dynamic when we are moving. So before we talk about those different types of posture, it's just important to understand the spine a little bit more, as the spine is our main support structure, and there's three areas of the spine. We have our neck, which is made up of 7 cervical vertebrae, our middle back made up of 12 thoracic vertebrae, and then our lower back made up of 5 lumbar vertebrae. So the spine being our main support structure, it has natural curves, and how we hold our spine can either prevent or cause pain. Quick test of our knowledge, true or false. You can answer to yourself. Good posture means keeping your back as straight as possible instead of slouching. And it's false. A lot of times when we think of correcting our posture when we're seated or we're standing, we stand up as straight as we can and we try to make our back as straight as possible. So the reason that's false, though, is that correct posture and ideal posture is really where we're maintaining those 3 natural curves of the spine without over-exaggerating them. When we get into the habit of over-exaggerating it and being in that position a lot, we can lead to injury. So some of the risks of poor posture, we're probably already aware of many of these things. Pain in the back, the neck, shoulder, arms, and legs. When we're in poor posture a lot, our muscles get really tight and short depending on what position we're in, and this can lead to decreased flexibility. And then when we lose that flexibility and the muscle becomes short and tight, our body just defaults to that position, so we can never really get into an ideal posture. Poor balance. All of this leads to an increased risk of falls and injuries. It can impact other body functions. Like the example that I really like is like when I'm slouched over, I'm in a really bad posture on a couch. Like if I'm collapsing on that rib cage, it makes it very hard for my breathing with my diaphragm and my lungs to be ideal. And then finally, you can also have increased fatigue from being in poor posture. So some pointers for our posture. We'll start with standing. So this is our first static posture. Standing, we want to maintain a neutral spine. Remember, you're not going to over-exaggerate into that military at attention type of stance. Okay, maintaining that neutral spine, letting those 3 natural curves be in place. Your chin should ideally be level floor. Your head should be balanced over your shoulders. So think about your ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles being aligned. If you look at the graphic on the screen, that vertical red line is exactly what you would want to see. You can see that everything from the ears all the way down to the ankles are aligned. Feet are going to be a shoulder width apart to give you a good steady base when you're standing. And knees, we don't want to lock them out. Avoid locking them out and instead keep them just slightly bent. And then we're going to engage our abs and our glute muscles, just lightly contracting them, and that's going to help you get into an ideal posture from both the pelvic standpoint or your hips leading up into your spine. And as I describe these things and you see these pictures, I'd encourage you to stand up or try to get into these postures and see how it feels. As so much of being a good posture takes awareness, a lot of practice and repetition, which then could lead into muscle memory. So that's standing. Now looking into the other static posture that we're in a lot, and that's sitting. So when we're sitting, try to keep your shoulders back and relaxed. Just think about when you're sitting, how many times you find your shoulders rolling forward, especially if you're at a computer a lot. We end up with forward shoulders. And when we're sitting as well, we want to be able to keep our hips and the knees approximately the same level, or it's okay if the hips are just slightly higher than the knees. You're going to want to keep the natural curve of the low back. So you can do this by either having a chair that may feature a way to do that, or if you don't have a chair that has that type of feature, you could roll a small towel in place in the curve of the low back. Both feet on the floor or on a stable footrest. And very important, when we're turning and we're in that seated position, try to move the whole body rather than just twisting at the waist. We don't want to spend too much time in a seated position, so take breaks, get up and move about every 30 to 60 minutes. And then one other postural position that we're seeing a ton of in our society now that I just want to point out, because this is whether we're sitting or we're standing, is if you've heard of people refer to text neck. Text neck being when we're on our mobile device and let's say I have my phone in my hand, I'm holding it down by my chest. What position is my cervical spine or my neck going to be in? I'm going to have that chin tucked in towards my chest. I have that my neck bending. And that's really a dangerous position for us to be in so much. So think about text neck. Think that if you're on your mobile device, go ahead and try to hold your phone up a little bit higher. I know it looks funny that if you're holding your phone up by head level, but that's going to help relieve a lot of the strain that's on our neck. They have found that a head that weighs 10 pounds, so like the average weight of our head, has 30 pounds of shearing force on the spine when we end up in that text neck position. Another time here to test our knowledge, true or false, standing all day at a standing desk is better than sitting all day. We may think that is true because it's such a popular thing right now with the standing desk. However, prolonged static standing can cause back pain just as much as prolonged sitting. So it's possible that we're having poor posture when we're standing at the computer and it's not really doing us any much better. The bottom line is really to just keep moving and alternate between both postures throughout the day. So a general rule of thumb would be that if I have access to a standing desk, I would want to spend about 15 to 20 minutes in an hour standing, and then 40 to 45 minutes seated with good posture, as well as just taking general walking breaks or stretching breaks. There's one more type of static posture that we probably didn't think of, but you spend a lot of time here, and that is sleeping. So sleeping pointers. As far as the neck goes, use a pillow that contours and supports the neck, keeps the head aligned with the spine. And then there's two sleeping positions that ideally we want to be in. The first being on your side. If you're a side sleeper, you can use a pillow between your knees to increase comfort and help assist in keeping the spine properly aligned. Important that if you are a side sleeper, really try not to tuck your hand underneath the pillow. It affects not only your spine alignment, it puts a lot of strain on your shoulder and your wrist, can lead to injuries in those places. If you are sleeping on your back, you can put a pillow under your knees to help reduce any pressure on the spine. And then the other sleeping position is on your stomach. It's best to avoid sleeping on your stomach because it tends to increase back and neck pain. However, if you are a stomach sleeper, you can try to place a pillow under your stomach, ankles, or even mid-chest to just improve comfort and reduce some of the stress that's being put on the spine. Now we're going to get a little bit more dynamic and just talk about when we move in our posture. So some posture pointers here is really important, working within your reach zone. We don't want to be moving our body and reaching and getting things that are heavy too far away from our center of gravity, or we're going to put ourselves at risk of injury. So by doing this, we can reduce stress on the neck, back, shoulders, and arms by keeping things close to the body and working within our ideal range. This applies to sitting as well. So as I click through here, we can see when we're in those zones, that's very poor. We're at very high risk of injury, especially if you have a heavy type of load that you're trying to work with in those ranges. Not great here either. And so we can see, ideally, we're in those 2 blocks there, or the one right below it, and being fair. Okay, so if you have to work in these poor zones, limit the time in them as much as possible. And then directly applying to that is lifting. This is a movement that we're going to be doing for the rest of our lives. It's really important for us to have proper lifting form. So I'll hit some of these points, and then I'm actually going to do a quick demo. I've got something set up to show you guys some of the common faults that I see with this. So if I'm going into a situation where I have to lift, understand the size of the object and what your capabilities are, how far you have to travel with it. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. I want to stand close to the object with my feet shoulder width apart, having safe and firm footing. I'm going to make sure I'm using my knees by squatting, and not just bending at my waist. However, I do want to think about using my hips, and I'll show that in my demonstration for you. Get a good grip on the object and keep it as close to your body as possible so that we're in that safe reach zone that we had spoken about. You're going to use your abs, your glutes to slowly lift using legs and not just the lower back. Keep the body near your waist level as I carry it, and remember, if I have to turn, I'm going to do it in a way pivoting my feet, not twisting my trunk and rotating through the mid-back or low back at all. And I'd follow these same processes when I'm lowering an object. I'm going to go ahead here and share my video, and then I'll get my camera set up. Make sure you guys can see what I need you to see. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to lock the spotlight on myself as well. PowerPoint will still probably remain up, or it'll come down when I take my video down. Hey everybody, should be able to see me right now. I'm locking the spotlight on. So I've got just a little practice crate over here. What I commonly see when people try to lift something off the ground is number one, I'm way too far away from this right now. If this is really heavy and I bend down and pick this up, there's a ton of shearing force on my low back right now. Okay, so I always want to look at my body position relative to the object that I'm picking up. There's no need for me to be this far away. So I'm going to step over it, okay? And now I'm going in a good position to go down and get this. I want to make sure that I'm not just bending here. Again, lots of shearing force on the low back. So when I do this, I'm going to use my hips, kind of push back with my hips. My knees are bending. It looks like I'm going down into a squat. I'm going to come up, grab, and then push all the way through. I'm going to keep this close to my body here. Okay, if it's out here, it's much more dangerous. If it's heavy enough, you're not even going to be able to do that. Okay, and then when I lower it down, I do the same thing. Okay, so it would look like that. That's kind of form that we want when we're lifting something. Step back over here, take off my video, go back to the PowerPoint as we wrap things up here. All right, hopefully you can all still see my PowerPoint since I took the video down. So that's our lifting posture pointers. And really now, as we wrap things up, I just want to have you thinking about what you can do. Take some small steps to make a difference in your posture each day. So some ideas. If you don't have a device or a watch that's already doing this, set a reminder to get up and move every hour. Stand up, stretch breaks, go for a quick walk around the office, or if you're at home, walk around the house or outside. Always practice that proper lifting technique that we just went over, even with light loads. It's all really about muscle memory. So if you're bending down to get a pillow off the ground, do exactly what I just showed you. Get your body accustomed to it so that when you're in a situation where you have something heavy that you're lifting up, that you'll be in a better position to be able to do that and have your body just naturally go into that movement. When you're sitting, use a rolled towel to support the low back. or possibly look at a chair or some other device to help keep that curve. Focus on working within your safe reach zone, just being aware of that. And one that's not on here that I have found to be really beneficial is having a commute when I'm in the car, of getting my seat properly aligned for me so that I'm using the headrest actually and not always hunkered over the steering wheel and with that forward head protruding. So look at your seated position when you're in your car, adjust it, make it ideal for you. And then whenever I go to a red light, I try to reset myself and make sure, all right, is the back of my head just slightly touching my headrest? Am I in an upright position where I'm maintaining those natural curves? I'm not over exaggerating it. And that's been something that's been really helpful for me, especially, like I said, to just get into the habit of, I'm at a red light, let me think about this and kind of reset if I need to. It is all about, as I said before, about practicing it, repetition, muscle memory, and then eventually you don't have to think about it as much. So these are just a few ideas of small changes. I'd encourage you to set one goal and to start with that. If you didn't see that there was a handout on the website, visit our website and there's a handout there that will be good reminders of all of these things. And our website is hfitdublin.com. And thank you for joining us. We're going to try to put on these webinars. We're going to call them Wednesday webinars on different topics. We may even expand beyond Wednesday right now. So please continue to visit our website for more information on that. And we'll probably do some more formal sign-ups, calendar invites to get more and more people involved with this. Please share with your coworkers as well. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.